There are only a few things you need to do in order to become a respected software engineer. Let me show you. Imagine this is you, all right? You can code basic things, right? For loops, while loops. You know some HTML, some JavaScript, and some CSS. You know basically how it's put together, but you haven't really mastered any one of them. And you want to have something deployed to the internet. Let me tell you exactly what I would have loved to know if I was a computer science student. Every major app that you know can be boiled down into these fundamental building blocks. The first building block is what we call a front end. Front ends can be built with React, Angular, and Vue. There's so many frameworks out there. But what you really need to know is that these languages, they don't matter. Pick one and get really good at it. The front end is what the person sees. Mastering this can make you a front end developer already. Next to the front end, you have something called the back end. This is its entirely own thing, completely different from the front end. On the back end is where we actually make our data useful. Most importantly, this is where our API lives, okay? Our API is basically a set of ears listening for specific things to be done with the data. For example, if I'm creating Instagram, right? The ears would basically listen for specific events that happen in your app. If you want to like something, then the front end needs to contact this one. If you want to follow someone, the front end contacts this one. If you want to post something, the front end contacts this one, etc. for every single feature in the app. The next really important thing you need to know about is a database. Since we're working with technology and with data, we need to store it somewhere, right? Someone liked this post, all right? This is where a database comes in. This can be done using so many different languages. Again, each of these squares that I'm drawing here are things that can be mastered individually. And if you master all of them, if you're comfortable with all of them, then you are what is called a full stack developer. And then you're making the big bucks, bro. Then there's stuff in the backend that are rarely spoken about, like security and authentication and stuff like that, which are different processes, but that do happen. So this is what we call a fully fledged backend. Now here's where the banger is. This back and forth communication. These are called API requests, okay? And these API requests can be used on the entire internet, all right? And now here's the cool part. Our front end can take on many shapes. It can either be a website on the web, all right, www, or it can be an app. It can be on iOS or Android. Oftentimes referred to as the client, and this is oftentimes referred to as the server. The main thing you need to know is that this client, everyone can see the code. That's why it's so important to make sure you don't do anything stupid on the front end, because everyone can see your code. You know how people do inspect element and start messing around with the HTML on a web app? This is what that means, client. Now this is a server. Server code is usually, it should be secure, but people don't really see the code that happens on your server. This is what they mean with this client-server architecture. This is your server, all right? It's just one app that is deployed somewhere. It can be either on AWS, on Heroku, Google Cloud, whatever. This server is listening for incoming requests, for incoming API requests, all right? So let's be clear. This code exists somewhere currently. It's there running, all right? Now, what we also have are multiple clients. Okay, I'm drawing them as phones, but they can be anything really. Websites, iOS. What these clients are, they take the folder that you built in React, HTML, or whatever, or Angular, right? They take that and they just give it to these people to load on their computer. Now that client, the code that is in this client here is run on their individual machines. All right, I hope this is making sense. So for you, these are the 4 steps that you need to master. I'm giving you a roadmap for you to become an excellent software engineer. Or let's say a full stack developer, full stack engineer. Number 1, front end. This is basically what the people see. Next is the backend, all right? Now, backend has a lot of things in it, so let's specifically look. This is basically a piece of code that is actively listening for incoming requests. Then you have the database, so we just draw it like this usually, very ugly. And we have security to make sure the backend is not messed with. So this is basically the entire backend, all right? And then most important is deployment. These 3 main areas you can focus on to sharpen up your skills as a developer. If you master them one by one, there's so many tutorials out there who can actually guide you into the right direction. This is what is going to take you to the next level. When we start off like this, that guy who doesn't know anything about how the World Wide Web works, we oftentimes we have these desires to do something good with our lives, all right? That we want to become respected developers. This is the most basic high-level overview that I could ever give of a full stack app. In reality, each of these 3 things are their own jobs altogether. together. They go very deep. I know a buddy of mine, the only thing he does is deployment. He gets paid a lot as well. And then you also have backend specific people. Like my brother, for example, he was a backend engineer at Intel. All he had to do was work on APIs that communicated with databases in a secure fashion. I hope I've given you a better overview of what precisely you can do with your coding knowledge that you've started to learn and how you can actually build things that people want to use. It is our responsibility to use this knowledge that we have for good. Imagine that. If your idea is good and you have the coding power to actually implement that, nothing is stopping you, bro. Nothing is stopping you. A lot of my rich friends, they tell me that they're scared of full stack founders who start their own companies. Knowing this knowledge, simply knowing it, sets you ahead way more than how other developers are. But the one who uses it for the right things, that is the person that you should be scared of, because that's someone who's on their way to becoming a respected software engineer. If you made it this far into the video, I think you're pretty cool, and I want you to come talk to me, meet me, and genuinely tell me what you thought about this video. I'm here to help you as much as you need to be helped to become the best respected software engineer, so that we can become ambitious, visionary, and charming developers, so that we can go to those recruiters and start flirting with them, you know what I mean? Okay, take it easy. Life is a gift given by the gods to make a proper use of it. Use this knowledge for good. Let's go code some beautiful stuff. Take it easy. Take care. See you in the next video. Bye.